So I've been contacted a couple of times about this image here, asking me how did I create that image. So in this project, I'm going to show you exactly how to create that image. Hello, my name's Stewart and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be playing with some water drop refraction photography and using a mobile phone screen as a reflective surface. So you're going to need a few things to pull off this particular shot. One of the most important ones is a reflective surface. Now you can use anything like acrylic, a mirror. I'm currently using a mobile phone. You'll need some blades of grass. Something to put in the background. In this case, I'm going to be using a Droplet daisy. You might need a specimen holder, depends how it goes with the shoot, but have one on hand just in case. And a flashlight. You're going to need something to hold the blade of grass, so I'm using bingo clip holders. And a syringe to put the drops onto the blade of grass. So let's get started with setting this scene up, shall we? And you have a choice of having it on sideways or lengthways. I'm going to try sideways first. You get different results on different ways of doing it, and it's just something that I want to encourage you to do, is just build up the scene as you go along. Don't just copy what you see here word for word. Play around with it, and it's the best way of learning. So first of all, let's find out where the focusing is. And we want to position the camera so it's a little bit above the mobile phone and is looking slightly down. Let's bring down the f-stop so we can see what we're doing. I'll put the mobile phone so it's just out of shot, and I believe on this occasion we are going to be going lengthways. I think we need to have some more to play with, but again, just keep playing around until you get something that you like. So I'm going to lower this a little bit. You can see how the scene is building up now. That's our reflective surface. And again, this is all stuff that you can subject to change later on. So what we want to do now is we want to get a blade of grass, and I'm just looking for the structure and seeing which one I like best. And I actually like the first one best. So I'm going to try that one first. I'm going to clip that in. And what I want to try and do is just arch it slightly so that we've got room to put drops in underneath. And obviously we want to get a lot closer than that, so let's bring it forward. Okay, so you can see what we're trying to do, can't you? We can see that we just want to have some sort of grass that's going over our mirror. Ignore my camera settings, this is just for previewing, okay? We'll sort out the camera settings once we actually set up the scene. I'm just going to focus that. Then we could possibly get that lower. I'm going to pull these out, just get it a little bit lower if we can. I'm going to drop my camera down. And there we go. So now you can see from there we're getting a nice bridge of the grass. We're getting a nice reflection now on the mobile phone screen. So next I'm going to grab myself a Droplet daisy, again one of my favourite flowers to work with when it comes to macro photography. And what we're going to do is place that in the background so that the dark spot, which is in the centre of the flower, is in the centre of the frame. Now because the water drops, they evaporate very quickly, so that's the very last thing we want to do. So for now I want to set up my camera settings. So again, I'm going to put my ISO to 400. I like that ISO for this camera. Gives me a bit of flexibility between noise and grain and having a quicker exposure. I'm going to set my f-stop and get my torch out just so I can shine it. I want to try and get the whole grass in focus if we can, but not absolutely in focus, if you know what I mean. I want it a higher depth of field, but not the whole scene in focus. So we're going to go to f4.5 for that. Then I will change my shutter speed accordingly to get a correct exposure. Now we are at 1/8 of a second. So because we are so low on the shutter speed, we're going to set up a timer. So let's go to our settings, drive mode, and we go to a 2-second timer. There we go. and I'm going to do a test shot. Now, it is very dark in here because it is my studio, but we will be lighting it up with a torch in the end. But again, hard to tell because we haven't put the drops in yet. So we have to move quickly when doing that. And that's looking okay. So next, we want to play with some water drops. I do keep getting asked about the water. Now, when I first started, I used to mix it with glycerin. Now, I don't bother mixing it. This is just simply still water. And in fact, it's the same water I use to water my spiders. I don't use tap water when I'm watering my spiders. I always use natural spring water. Whether it makes a difference to the spider, I don't know. But I just prefer to not use the tap water. Because let's be honest, the council pop in the UK is not very nice. And if I'm not going to drink it, I don't want my spiders to drink it. This is the hardest part of this project now, is getting a couple of water drops on there. And I'm thinking just to put 3 on, as an example, you can then take that away and knock yourselves out and do some really good ones. And what we're looking at is that imperfection. We want it on there if we can. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep building that drop up by adding a little bit at a time. The type of grass you use will affect how your image will look. The amount of water you use will affect how your image looks. There are so many factors that contribute to how your image looks. And once you get used to doing it, you'll eventually find yourself gravitating towards a certain style. Now that drop isn't exactly where I want it, but for this demonstration it should be okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up the camera for the final shot, and then we'll add more drops onto it later. And first of all, I'm going to try focusing on the refraction in the background. So I want to focus so that the flare is in shot. And as you can see there, the flare is too far away. So what I can do here now is bring the mobile phone forward until it practically hits my lens, and then I can bring the flare forward. Okay. Make sure we're hitting critical focus, and that's the focus in the middle of the flare. Okay. Now ideally, I want to be switching off all of my lights. Okay. So here we go. Let's do this. So again, we have to adjust our shutter speed. Didn't quite like that. Let's turn those lights back on. Play again. And literally, all you gotta do now is just play. That's all it is, just playing. And what I do know is the thinner the grass, the better the image looks, in my opinion anyway. Unfortunately, I was all out of thin grass for this demonstration. So I hope that you can see what I'm on about here. That you just play, okay? In fact, we can get away with putting 5 drops on here, so let's do another one. And I'm not being super careful where I'm putting them, okay? I expect you to do better. And on a side note, it's a lot easier to put water drops on if you do it a little bit at a time. If you try to put a massive one on all at once, it's just going to drop off. Now you notice that last drop didn't quite work. If you get one that doesn't work, using the syringe, you can suck it back off. Okay, what I want to do is try and get these a little bit further down maybe. Right, now this is where we ignore the camera, okay? So if I bring up my torch, okay, and we look at the camera settings and what the meter is telling me, the meter is telling me that is perfectly exposed. I'm going to take a shot of that. But sometimes it's not quite what you want. Okay, you might want to go with a longer shutter speed so that you can get some of the ambient light in there. And again, how far away your torch is will affect your exposure. That is how simple it was to create that image. So again, this is the image that I worked on. It did take several hours to get to that image, but that is the process that I used to do it. So now you can go off now and create yourself a nice water drop refraction image, that's a mouthful, by using your mobile phone, a flower and some water drops on a piece of grass. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you for getting to the end of the video, and as always, I'll see you on the next video. So next.